शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. So if all of you remember, the last topic that we had seen was Garbhopanishad. So we had completed with that. I know the notes are pending. I will be sharing that soon. And today we start with a new topic, that is the Rudram, Namakam and Chamakam. So we start with Sri Rudram, which is formed of two parts, Namakam and Chamakam. Now, if you see, Sri Rudram is a Vedic mantra which is chanted. Most of us, we are familiar with that. Few of us, we know to chant. At least we would have heard this. So, this mantra it is chanted in all temples, not only in praise of Lord Shiva, also when we do Abhisheka for all other gods, also this mantra is chanted. But beyond this, Sri Rudram, though it is in praise of Lord Shiva, there are different aspects to it, what exactly it contains, and so on. That is what we are going to see today. Okay. Okay. Now, Sri Rudram, basically, if you see, it is a major part, it is mainly a part of Yajurveda, and it actually talks about the ultimate reality, that is nothing but Parabrahma. So, basically, we must not look at this as a mere concept that talks about maybe just a prayer in praise of Lord Shiva or so. There's a lot of, you can say, a lot of meaning behind Sri Rudram and so on. And it is one of those texts that actually shows the culture of Bharata Desha to the world around, to the world then. So, mainly, like if I have to give you an example, India or Bharata Desha, if you see, it is, or like even till date, we look at ourselves as a developing country, right? We are still not in the category of a developed country, we are still developing. In fact, till a few years back, if you see, the condition of India was whenever Bharat Desha was looked upon, we will look upon, no, here there is only poverty. Here people are always engaged in maybe doing meager things for making their livelihood and so on. Right? So this is something wherein, of course, now we are not, we don't fall in the country in the category of those countries which like they don't have food, they don't have even basic needs. We are not in that situation, but still we are not even in the category of developed countries that are there. Now, how far is this true, or was actually Bharat Desha like this in ancient times? For this little bit, Sri Rudram highlights on these points too. So how it is, we will have a look. So firstly, let us look at the meaning of Sri Rudram. Now, the meaning of Sri Rudram is Ruk Dravayati iti Rudraha. Ruk Dravayati. Dravayati meaning it can be, you can consider one meaning as crying. So basically, it is like a flow. Ruk meaning pain, and Dra, that is suffering. So as per the Puranic story that goes, Rudra was born, a child suddenly came on the lap of Lord Brahma and it started crying, it seems. So that's how Brahma named the child as Rudra. That is one meaning. But the original meaning, if you say Rukdra, meaning a flow of pain or suffering, that is Rudraha. This is one meaning. Another is Rudraha. Another meaning for this is also a flow of knowledge that is there. That is also Rudraha. So this is another aspect or another meaning you can consider for Rudraha. So Ru also means knowledge and Dra is a flow of knowledge. So basically a flow of pain and suffering or a flow of knowledge. So more apt to this is a flow of knowledge. That is the second category which is there. So this is the actual meaning of Sri Rudram. Now Sri Rudram is divided into two parts, Namakam and Chamakam. Namakam, they are hymns or mantras that are chanted in praise of the Parabrahma, who's Lord Shiva. And Chamakam is like the Phalashruti. So basically wants and wishes. Now, whenever we have to ask a wish or so, we ask maybe I want a house, I want some money, or just meager wishes, right? But even what wishes or what wants you must ask, that has been listed in Chamakam. So Namakam, but this is not limited only to this. Namakam talks about the core philosophy of Bharatadesha, and Chamakam highlights a lot of ancient history, what exactly was found in ancient Bharata, and so on. So these are also certain aspects which can be seen in Sri Rudram, which consists of two, that is Namakam and Chamakam. Now, I want to highlight on these parts a bit. Yeah. Now, firstly from the Namakam. Now, Namakam, if you see, it has got in all 11 Anuvakams. Anuvakam is one paragraph. Those who have seen the text of Sri Rudram, is everyone familiar with Sri Rudram here? Yes, have you heard it? Yes. So I hope everyone, even if you don't know to chant, you should be familiar with Sri Rudram. So in that, if you see, there are in all Sri Rudram has got 11 Anuvakams and Chamakam also. That is Namakam, Chamakam. Each of them they've got 11 Anuvakams. Anuvakams is nothing but like a paragraph. You can consider. So we are we will not look at each of these 11 in all 21 Anuvakams in detail, but the gist of Namakam mainly is hymns on praising Parabrahma, that is praising Lord Shiva. So five main aspects or learnings that are there from Namakam that you can have a look. What is that? Now, firstly, Namakam highlights on this topic, that is firstly demolishing caste system. Caste system which is predominant in today's times. Now I am saying today's times. Earlier, why it was not there? Earlier, it was not at all referred to as caste system. We just had the Chaturvarnas that are there, and those Chaturvarnas is nothing but division of the society into different parts. Today, on a very low level, we just translate or define it to be some caste or so, which we feel is made on the lines of religion or religious practices and so on. Was not at all so. Like Krishna also highlights in the Gita, Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashaha. Based on one's qualities and actions, this division of the society has been done for proper functioning of the society. Just as we have different professions today, like teachers, doctors, and so on, each of these professions they take care of different responsibilities. Or in the government, we have different ministries like Ministry of Tourism, Foreign Affairs, External Affairs. So each one of them is given some certain responsibility. Everyone, everything cannot be done by everyone, so you have proper segregation that is done. So in those times also society was not that developed. Like today we have different ministries for different departments, or we have different lot of professions that come in those times also it was there, but not on you can say this level which we have today, but still people were the same, human beings were there. They also needed all kinds of facilities like we need today. We also need different functionalities, different departments, everything is needed. So dividing the society in different parts and handling over the responsibilities was very much needed. That's the reason why the society was divided into four parts: Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. It has got nothing to do with religion or so called caste that we have today. That this is all humankind. You can say mankind, man made developments, wrong interpretation of our scriptures. So, this is something which, even like the Gita, even in Sri Rudram also it has been demolished. Why it has been demolished? Let's have a look. Namo Bhratebhyo Bhratapadebhyascha Mo Namaha. For Sri Rudram, you have to always chant, or all the Vedic mantras for that matter, you have to always chant with the right intonation, with the right swaras. Otherwise, it's not just a mere text which we can just read it like a prose order also. So here the Lord says that is the line says, Namaskaram to you, O Rudra, who is in the form of various classes of people in the society, and you are the chief of all the classes. Doesn't specify you are only a Brahmana, you are only a Kshatriya, you are only a Vaishya or a Shudra. It's not like that. In fact, if the Lord or if our Dharma wanted to highlight this, Rama would have never been born as a Kshatriya, Krishna would have never been born as a Vaishya. If only Brahmins were given the highest, you can say respect also, Krishna and Rama would also be born as Brahmins. The Lords themselves did not do that. So, first, this line itself demolishes this caste system that is there. And why a lot of things have been highlighted is today when we talk about that only Brahmins wanted to have their own supremacy, or other castes, or you have all these tribal communities and so-called communities who are fighting for their rights, right? They are fighting for their rights not because of the supremacy of anyone also, it is because of their own, you can say, a lot of fights or maybe lot of confusions which or wrong interpretation which has been made of the class system. In fact, this is called varnashrama system. This caste itself word for varna, translating it as caste is also a very wrong translation that is being done, which we have to slowly start changing. So this is one part. Second part is, this is one line which the Namakam says. Second line is Namo Agriyaya cha Prathamaya cha. One who is the chief of everything, or one who is the first, most supreme in everything. Next, though he is the chief, who is the supreme, he is also Namo Dutaya cha Prahitaya cha. He is also a messenger. Prahita is also a servant. So that is the reason why even the servants, or maybe maids who come to our house, or maybe people who offer a lot of services for us, they should also be given equal status, because we have to see the Lord even in them. Sri Rudram itself says Lord Shiva is the chief of all, he is the first in everything, he is also the messenger, he is also the servant. So therefore, a divine, you can say, entity or respect should be there for all kinds of people in the society. We have something called dignity of labor, right? So it is human tendency to look down on others. So he is lower than me. Whatever I know, he does not know that much. So this is human tendency which we do. Our dharma, our culture, our gods do not appreciate this at all, or there is no mention at all. Lord Himself says, I am a Duta, I am a messenger. But we have a problem. No, I cannot be a servant, I cannot be a messenger. Right? So all these things that are there, this is the reason why I told you that Sri Namakam had, it talks about the philosophy of Bharata, how rich our culture was, how was our tendency in thinking about things, how there was equality everywhere. But yes, there came a time, and even till date we are facing that, wherein we started looking down upon our own fellow human beings. Maybe now there are people, yes, no doubt that maybe some people are not that much blessed. Let's not say blessed, maybe they're not that fortunate. Maybe we have two things, that person may not have those things, right? But that doesn't mean there are differences everywhere. Or maybe there might be some people who are, maybe they have more things, they're more prosperous than us. Maybe we are not at that level yet. There can be differences, but that doesn't mean that we have a comparison. We just keep comparing lifelong, and then we try to put down others that you don't have this. We should not make others realize that you are actually low. I am greater than you, I have things more than you, and so on. This is a very, very wrong way, wrong practice that is there in the society. Even till date we do find this. So here the Lord says Namo Agriyaya cha Prathamaya cha, Namo Dutaya cha Prahitaya cha. So Rudra can be worshipped in all these spots. Namastakshabhyoratakarebhyascha vo namaha. Lord Rudra is a Takshaka. Takshapyaha meaning he's a carpenter. He is also a maker of chariots. So Sutaputraha, like Karna in the Mahabharata reference, he feels very insulted because he was uh, taken care and he was brought up by a charioteer. He was a charioteer's son. Sutaputraha. People used to tease about. He felt bad. Lord Shiva himself is said to be a carpenter and a maker of chariots. But he does not have any problem. Namah Kulale Alebhyah Karmare sorry, Mafkulale, Mafkulalebyah karma, Bhyascha wo namaha. Namaskaram to Rudra, who is a Kulalebhya. Kulalebhya meaning one who makes pots, who is a potter, and also Karmaraha meaning a blacksmith. So again, in all the occupations that we do today, if you see, most of you have like carpenters who are carpenters, they, a certain community will take care of carpentry. There may be blacksmiths, there may be of cobblers also. There will be certain communities who are there. But all these communities that we see, we can see all this only in the later part of the society. In general, the Lord only is a form of everything. So whatever work you do, whichever occupation or profession you are a part of, everything is a form of divinity only. There is no discrimination at all. If there was discrimination, we will not have Sri Rudram, which is chanted even till date, not once but so many times in majorly all temples of Lord Shiva, and in fact to all deities wherever Abhisheka is done. Whenever some Abhisheka, even in our own houses also, if we do some worship, if we do some Abhisheka, Sri Rudram Namakam Chamakam is being chanted, right? So mainly this caste system is demolished. Next, Punjishtebhyo Nishadebhyascha vo namo. Rudra was a hunter. Punjishtaha, he is also a fisherman. Nishadaha. Mahadbhyaha Kshulakebhyascha vo namaha. Mahadbhyaha, Lord Rudra is present in every great person as well as Kshullakaha. We tease people, you are a weak man, you don't know anything, and so on. But the Lord is present even in that weak person also. So there is again equality everywhere. There is no difference that is made between human beings. Next. Now all this has been mentioned. Based on this, you have a chart. You can see a chart. This chart mainly is simple and a you can say very practical question is asked here. Now, this is just, you can say, like a chart based on the GDP of India. GDP growth, how global growth has taken place over the years. You see, India is the third, that is a dark yellow part. So you can see the GDP, how in the 1400s and 1500s it was there at the top, and slowly today, of course, it grew, it peaked, and this is till 2017. You have the data in front of you, so you can see how the GDP falls down. Why this chart has been mentioned is, if today people all around the world, all over the world, especially in Bharatadesha itself, if people complain saying that Sanatana Dharma or Indian culture or India is the base of caste system, people are oppressed on this, or Brahmanas only had their supremacy, all other classes, we had something called the low caste, high caste, and so on. If that was so, GDP would not have been so high then in the 1400s and 1500s. Why was the GDP high then? Because Chaturvaranyamaya Srishtam. The society was properly divided into four parts. Each of the four Varnas were given their own occupations. Brahmanas were told to take care of the teaching class. They taught people, the imparting of Vidyas took place. That's the reason Kshatriyas also. They also learned everything, welfare, warfare. They used to take care. There used to be no attack. Even if attack took place from enemies, proper warfare used to be taken care by the Kshatriyas. That's the reason why we have a lot of wars that are arranged. We have so many warriors, right? Can be Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, or it can be the Rani of Jhansi, and so on. So many great leaders whom we have. The Kshatriyas, Vaishya community. Today we have business that is flourishing, be it agriculture, be it animal husbandry. Agriculture is the base of India, even till date. Animal husbandry, Lord Krishna himself followed the same thing. Selling of milk products and dairy products. He was a part of the Vaishya community, business class. Lastly, the Shudra community is the service sector, taking care of the sanitation part, taking care of the, you can say, like in today's times, if you have to compare, most of us, we are all actually, we belong to the, like the Shudras only. Why? Because we are imparting our services. Most of us, we work somewhere, right? We work for a company. So what do we do there? You're just giving your services, which is leading to the growth of the company as such. So we also actually belong to the service or the tertiary sector only. But we feel very proud. No, I am this, I am that. There's a lot of comparison. We feel that Shudras are very, you can say, low class or so on. If it is so, the Lord will not say that I am a carpenter, I am a potter, I am a blacksmith. It is nothing but the service providing community. Or we need the housekeeping. What is housekeeping? In big companies or whatever it is, big organizations, we have the housekeeping stuff. Or in our own houses, we have maids also. What is that? One day the maid doesn't come, you know the pain that you have to undergo, right? So there's a lot of importance given to that maid also. So when the society was divided properly, everyone knew their own responsibilities. Swadharmam, everyone used to follow their own dharma properly. Society flourished well. The working section made a lot of contributions, which led to the society, sorry, which led to the growth of the society. Society was flourishing well. That proof you can see in this chart, the GDP chart. But later times, what happens? A lot of foreign invasions took place. You have the Mughals coming in, British, Dutch, Portuguese. They brainwashed our minds. They looted India. They took back everything. Bharatadesha lost its charm. We also, like fools, we ended up listening to them. Then, of course, again, now if you see after post-independence also, or even till date also, there are things, there is a lot of influence from outside, but at least we must be able to safeguard and know about our own roots and culture, and not just believe in things, oh, there is caste system, oh, there is only Brahmin supremacy, oh, there is only certain people who are given a lot of respect, and so on. If that was so, if Bharatadesha had given this, if Sanatana Dharma had proclaimed this, we would not have such good results then. And just as in Hindi we called it, Soneri Chidiya, Sone ki Chidiya, Bharatadesha, full of gold, that is prosperity. In all, it would have never been so if we had practiced all this. So, therefore, this is something, how ancient Bharata thrived on these roots, how ancient Bharata lived on these roots, and these are some things which play when we boast about that we are a lot of, you can say, modern, this, that, and we have so many ambitions that the world keeps in, right? By 2025, this will happen, 2030, this will happen. What about the principles of our own ancient Bharata? It's just we are not doing anything new. It's not that, oh, today, one fine day, one person gets this thought in his mind and he's doing something. Before that, like all these years, we are just suffering. It's not like that. Ancient Bharata was quite flourishing. It was in the category of developed countries, you can say. There came a time wherein Bharatiyas, we got influenced by other people. We tend to forget our own roots, right? Even today, also, if you see so many times on so many aspects we don't know about our own things that are there. We feel very proud learning only other things. There's nothing wrong in learning other things, but what about your own culture, your own things? We don't know about that, and we feel very proud in telling that also to others. So this is just a chart that you see in front of your eyes, which shows the flourishing of Bharatadesha and its contribution that it has made to the overall GDP of the world. Okay, so and in fact, if you see, Brahmanas have to be appreciated for this, or the teaching community, because of them, because they taught the Sri Rudram, Namakam, and Chamakam. Till date, we have that, and through that, we know what exactly has been mentioned. So let's see further. Okay, till here, could everyone follow? Yes? Yeah. Okay. And you must know one thing, that the right side that you can see, the East India Company, British, Dutch, Portuguese, and so on. Bharatadesha has survived this. Why? Where the GDP has fallen, if you see, it was quite high even during these invasions also. Even after these people came and they established their rules, even at that time also, Bharatadesha had made a lot of contributions. Because our Varnas, we were so strong. The working population was very, very strong. But there was no influence. Let anyone come in. Of course, in later part during medieval India, we did feel the, you can say, the different attacks or so on that took place. But apart from that, even we have actually lived through all this. Like a very simple example, if I tell you, you have so many of our own very own temples and monuments which have been demolished by Mughals and Portuguese, Dutch, and so on, right? Somnath temple, for example, 12 times it has been brought down. But every 12th, even today also, if you go and see, it still stands strong. Right? 12th time it was rebuilt. Today's Somnath temple that we have in Somnath, Gujarat, that is built for the 12th time. Still, it was demolished by the Mughals 12 times, but still today it is standing erect. Or you have the Shivalinga in Kashi, you have in Ujjain, you have in Somnath, it has been demolished so many times. I don't know whether all of you have seen the famous movie Kashmir Files. Anyone saw that movie last year? Yes. So you know the situation that is there, how Shivalingas were, you can say, broken and so on. What exactly is the Shivalinga, that we will see further. Okay. So one aspect from Namakam that we saw is demolishing the caste system that is there. What about other things? But it is not limited only to India. Namakam also highlights or talks about few other things. That is, it talks about the mention of various trees, rivers, and nature. No vrikshebhyo harikeshebhyaha. So it's not that Lord Shiva is not only a form of human beings, it is also for other living creatures. Every tree in nature. That's the reason why our culture or our dharma also encourages the worship of trees. We have certain practices wherein we worship the Vatavriksha, the pipal tree, or the banyan tree leaves are used for certain purposes, or we eat on the banana leaf, or coconut tree, coconut is used for different purposes. So therefore, we have a lot of trees also that are given a lot of importance. That's the reason it is encouraged to grow trees and so on. One is, of course, nature, global warming, such things are there, but even in tree also, if we see, if we apply a divine aspect for everything, automatically we don't do negative things, right? We don't do evil things. That's the reason even in every tree in nature also, it is a form of Lord Shiva that has been mentioned. Next is even in rivers and water bodies also. Mastirthaya cha Kulyaya cha. In every body and in every river bank also, that is also a form of Lord Shiva or Lord Rudra. So this is why our dharma encourages the worship of rivers. Ganga Puja, Yamuna Arti, Shankaracharya's Ganga Stotram, Yamuna Stotram, Devi Sureshwari Bhagavati Gange, and so on he sings, right? Or Duno Tume Malomalam Kalinda Nandini Sada, praise of river Yamuna. Ganga Stotram, Yamuna Stotram, Narmada Stotram. Even today you have the Narmada Parikrama that takes place in central India, in states where Narmada river flows. So all the, you can say, significant places around the banks of river Narmada, people go about that. That's a parikrama. Or places, Ganga river, as usual, people take a dip in the Ganga river. You have the Ganga Aarti, Yamuna Aarti, and so on. So while a lot of importance is given, or for anything that we do auspicious, we bring water, right? Ganga Jalam we bring in our, maybe you go to some place, people, we tell them to bring a bottle of Ganga Jalam, we keep it in our houses. It's considered to be a mark of purification, because even these rivers or water bodies also are given a divine element. They are also forms of Lord Rudra only. Next is Namaskashpyaya cha Phenyaya cha. Shashpyaya cha. Every blade of grass, we should be able to see the form of Lord Shiva. and Lord Rudra and every form of a river, FOAM form, that is Penyaya cha, Parnyaya cha, Paranashatyaya cha, dry leaves as well as green leaves. Both are forms of Lord Shiva. So again here also if you see very when you look at this very subtle in a very subtle way, green leaves, fresh leaves everyone likes, right? When the tree is growing, you have a lot of green leaves that are there, we like to look at the tree, but dry leaves everywhere, especially after the winter season in the months of February or early March, you see all the trees they shed their leaves, the tree doesn't look good. Or even now also if you see, when the weather is very dry also, you don't feel like looking at a tree, or a tree does not look like a tree, right, without green leaves. So all those dry leaves, what they do, we just sweep it off and throw it away. Or maybe some people have a very bad habit of burning those leaves, right? Whereas dry leaves as well as in green leaves, both are considered to be forms of Lord Shiva only. So even not only in human beings, but even in inanimate objects and in trees also, there is some life that is there. There's a lot of respect which has to be given. This is highlighted by telling that even in dry leaves, green leaves, both are considered to be forms of Lord Shiva. Next is third aspect that Namakam talks. First is it demolishes the principle of caste system that we have today. Second is it talks about rivers, trees and nature. Third, now it has a mention of animals. That's the reason it talks, I told you that it is a very important historical uh, text that is there, which talks about the philosophy of Bharata, which tells us what was present in Bharata. Namashwabhyashwapadebhyascha wo namaha. Rudra as a dog is also the protector of dogs. Kala Bhairava, Kala Bhairava's Vahana, or along with Kala Bhairava, you see dog. Or dog is always like from the Mahabharata reference, Yudhishthira had a dog along with him, was actually Kala. So dogs usually, though we consider a dog to be a very mere or a very common animal, this goes about here and there. A lot of importance even to dogs has been given. Even for horses. Mo Ashwebhyo Ashwabadebhyascha Mo Namaha. Namaskaram to Rudra, who is a horse and who is also the protector of horses. Namah Sharvaya cha Pashupataye cha. So Sharvaya, one who is the destroyer of all sins, Pashupataye. Pashunam Patihi, Pashupatihi. Shashti Tatpurush Samasa. It is a compound word in Sanskrit, meaning one who is a lord of animals. When I say animals, it can include living beings, animals, living creatures, any living creatures, including animals, birds, and human beings, is Pashupati. One who is the lord of all animals, that is Pashupati. So this is the third aspect. Next is Sri Rudram Namakam, also talks about death. In the last mantra, that is after the 11 Anuvakas, you have the Mrityunjaya mantra. Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarkamiva bandhanan mrityormukshiyamamritad. Trayambaka is another name for Lord Shiva, wherein it is highlighted, right? Now here you have an example. Urvaruka. Urvarukam is actually just as Urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityormukshiyamamritad. That is a cucumber plant, just as you can see in the picture. Cucumber, if you have to break it, you have to actually uproot that from the stem. So when it grows, similarly, I we pray to the Lord that I during at the time of death I should be detached from the bondage of death, from the bondage of this life, but I should not be detached from immortality. The meaning is many times it happens that you might turn old, but still everything is there. But still that bondage doesn't go away, right? My family, my wife, my sons, my money. Of course, this doesn't mean that we can give up on people. I'm not saying that my wife, my sons, someone will ask, will not, I will always say that, right? She's my wife, they are my children, and so on. This thought will always be there, but too much in what, no, this is my house, this is my money, this is my car, everything that my comes in, we will never be able to progress in life. I have everything, no doubt a house is needed, no doubt a car is needed, no doubt relationships are needed, but even if you have everything, still if your desire keeps building, I have a car, I want two more cars. You already have one car, I have the resources, so I'll buy it. It's your choice. But then this is where bondage comes in. You get two more cars, now you have to take care of the maintenance of three cars. One car you are spending time, now you have to spend more time. Maybe that time you can use for doing something else. So this is how living for our needs is fine. But over attachment towards things, I have two houses, I want four more houses. What are you going to do? Towards the end, once a person passes away, actually fights emerge in the next generations that happens with six houses, which house will go to whom, right? This is the only thing that we do by building up bondages. So here this is like a mantra, just at the time of death at least I should be free from all kinds of bondages but not from immortality. I should always pray that I get a fulfilled life, or you can say a very peaceful death. So this also is a part of Sri Namakam, that is there, the Mahamrityunjaya mantra. Next aspect, again, unity between Shaivism and Vaishnavism. Namo Rudraya Vishnave Mrityurme Pahi. Namaskaram to Rudra, who is also Vishnu, and may both of them they protect us from death. So Vishnu is equal to that Vishnu. The actual meaning of Vishnu means one who is present everywhere. So Rudram also removes all kinds of myths which say that Shiva is different, Vishnu is different. Till date, we have people who distinguish between devotees. I am a Shaivite, I am a Vishnu. I am a Shiva devotee, I will not worship Vishnu. I am a Vishnu devotee, I will not worship Shiva. Shiva and Vishnu, both of them, they are worshipping each other. Shiva, Mahadevena Pujitaha. Few of us we were learning recently. Vishnu Sahasranama from the Garuda Purana. In that you have a line. Shiva and Vishnu, they have a conversation between themselves. Shiva at that time he tells Vishnu, you tell me about your 1,000 names. At that time the Lord says, Vishnu talks about his Sahasranama. In that one Nama from the Lord comes Mahadevena Pujitaha, one who is worshipped by Mahadeva. Lord himself, Shiva himself says, now Shiva is a great meditator, a great tapasvi. He says always I'm chanting Ramanama. Always I'm praying on Lord Vishnu. Vishnu, on the other hand, you go and ask him, he will say, no, I'm always playing on Lord Shiva. For me, he is only the God. One simple example, Rameshwara, Jyotirlinga that is there. Rameshwara, Ramasya Ishwaraha Rameshwaraha. Rama has created that Rameshwara Linga. Lord of Rama is Rameshwara. Shiva did not like this definition. He immediately says, in another form, he puts it, he says, Ramaha Yasya Ishwaraha Rameshwaraha. Who is this Rameshwara? One whose Lord is Rama, that is this Rameshwara. It is actually the same. In Sanskrit, if you see, Ramasya Ishwaraha, it is a Shashti Tatpurush Samasa. Those who are a little bit familiar with Sanskrit, you might know. Even if you are not familiar, at least for your knowledge, you can note down. There is a concept of compounds or samasa in Sanskrit, just as we have compound words, right, in English and other languages. Similarly, in Sanskrit also, compound words. That is how exactly a word is formed. Rameshwaraha. Ramaha is Ramasya Ishwaraha Rameshwaraha. This is a Shashti Tatpurush Samasa. Shiva did not like this. He says Ramaha Yasya Ishwaraha Rameshwaraha. This is another form. He broke the word in a different way. In a different form, he interpreted it. So this is what the lords themselves say. They say that we are worshipping each other, but we devotees have a problem. No, I am a Shiva devotee, I am a Vishnu devotee, I am a goddess devotee. First of all, we cannot reach to that level. We are not Shiva, we are not Vishnu, we are not anyone. So for us, it doesn't matter whether it is Shiva or Vishnu. Of course, in today's times, we don't see, but yes, even maybe amongst us, for the 15, 20 of us, maybe we don't believe in such things, but yes, even till date, there are people who do this. I am a Shaivite, I am a Vaishnavite, or we have even so many debates that have taken place. Shiva is great, Vishnu is great, or you have so many Puranas also. They glorify, right? We have in all 18 Puranas, 6 are Brahma Puranas, 6 are Vishnu Puranas, Vaishnava Puranas, 6 are Shiva Puranas. So you might ask, and there might be a question that comes in. If we say that Shiva and Vishnu are equal and so on, why do we need to have so much of segregation? Right? Okay, let me put this question to all of you. Why now, if we say that Shiva and Vishnu and all the gods are same, what is the reason why then there should be everything different? Okay, for Shiva, you have certain different ways of worship or different stotras that are chanted. For Vishnu, it is different. For maybe the goddess, it will be different. Why so much of, you can say, differences? Everything is one. Why not one? Like other religions do. One God, one book. Why don't we adopt that method? Any answer for this? You can do anything. Anything you can say. You can guess. If there is only one thing, if I tell that there is only one God, one Shiva, you have to worship, becomes easy, right? Okay, this is my God, this is my book, I have to chant this, that's it. It becomes easy. Why? Anyone? You can guess? Or what is your view on this? No? Hmm. Okay. just to distinguish between two different concepts, we have two different gods, like she says. Okay, this is one thing. What else? A very simple question. I'll just repeat it once more. If we say that no, everything is only one, then no, God is one. And why do we have different so many gods? Shiva and Vishnu are one and the same. Why don't we worship only one form then? Why should I worship Shiva differently? Why should I worship? Sorry? Correct. Hmm. Correct. Hmm. Correct. Right. This is a very, again, a good answer. Now, coming back, this is one part which all of you said, that to make things easy a bit, or depending on the roles sometimes. Like, for example, Brahma is known for creation, Vishnu is given the responsibility of maintenance of the world, and Shiva is given for destruction. So, like this, each of them they have their responsibilities. That doesn't mean that Vishnu alone cannot do creation or destruction, or Shiva alone is not responsible for creation and destruction. They can do that, but they have distinguished, they have their set responsibilities. This is one aspect. Secondly, now if you have gone through a few Puranas or so, a few texts, say for example, the Sri Rudram, it glorifies only Lord Shiva. Or at times, certain Puranas, if you see, they will try to glorify. Say, for example, Srimad Bhagavatam now, it will say no Vishnu because it is in praise of Krishna Leela stories and Vishnu. It will try to always show Vishnu at a high level, right? Or so at that time it will say no, from Vishnu, Shiva and Brahma have come. So here again a confusion. Is Vishnu is the leader? Only Shiva and Brahma are at the next level. Whereas in the Shiva Purana it will be no, Shiva is the greatest, next level Vishnu and Brahma. So here is where little confusion comes in. What should I believe then? Is Shiva great or Vishnu great? This why this happens is then at that time we feel no, all our scriptures are also useless, like the Puranas also, because little they create this confusion and they only try to tell us readers, as human beings, that no, this there is a difference between everything. Or you have certain organizations, right? Like maybe you have organizations like uh, let us take the ISKCON, for example. They will tell us to worship Lord Krishna only, or you have the Maha Mantra that is chanted, and so on. So, like this, there are so many organizations and so on. So, why this? What the point that I'm trying to say is why only specification on one aspect. So, we must not look upon these Puranas or even organizations, be it the ISKCON or whatever it is, that okay, they are talking only about Krishna. Does it mean that they don't believe in other gods? Or they will not worship? Let we must not look with this aspect. Maybe all these reformers who are there, or the Puranas, whoever Vyasacharyas compiled, it is with one aspect that maybe now when I tell that okay, this one Lord is there, one God is there, one mantra is there, it becomes easy, right? Now, say for example, the ISKCON, those who maybe you have visited an ISKCON temple or followers of ISKCON, if you see, they will worship Krishna, they'll chant the Maha Mantra, so it becomes easy, right? So it's not that they try to influence us also, it's not at all like that. It is just maybe a method where they say, okay, this is one Lord, you have to chant the mantra, so it becomes easy. For us human beings, if everything is given in our hands, to tell do this, it becomes easy, right? Whereas if we tell no, this is also there, that is also there. You go to a market, say for example, you have 10 different things. Choose from this, it becomes very difficult. Whereas if the options are less, you have only two, out of this you have to choose one, we'll pick up, right? If you have 10 options, creates confusion. Same is there here. So, and this is one aspect. That's the reason why we have certain organizations or certain reformers, social, you can say social reformers or sages and so on. Certain practices, Shaktism mainly talks about Shakti worship. Worshipping Shakti, okay, you're a devotee of goddess, you want to worship goddess, these are things that you have to do. That's it. You need not go to the other parts. Shaivism will talk only about Shiva, Shiva's way of practice, his stotras and so on. Vaishnavism for Vishnu. So why certain concepts are created is to make things easy also to focus on one path. Now in the case of all of us, we not a Vaishnavite, not a Shaivite, not a Shakti practice, nothing. For us, whatever little we do, we cannot even distinguish that into any category. Whatever little we do under the name of bhakti, we keep doing that. So, or even the Puranas that I told you, why that is shown, one God is shown, and in the Puranas itself, they say that no, the other two deities are a bit low. We have to interpret that in the right way. If you do wrong interpretation, everything changes. We will not have respect for our own scriptures that is there. And it is again a wrong interpretation, like the caste system which has come up. It is all due to wrong interpretations that come up. Never the Lord said it is based on religion. Very clearly he says, Guna karma vibhagashaha. From where people have interpreted, we don't know. But the influence is so strong, till date we are believing in the same and we are suffering because of that. Right? So it is there when those Puranas are there. Okay, you are a Shiva devotee, we have Puranas for Shiva. Shiva is glorified. Just like a simple example I'll give you. There is a program, you have a chief guest. We will always talk good things about the chief guest, right? That doesn't mean that people all around there who are audience, they are fools or they are not greater than the person who's a chief guest. But because for a particular event, that person has been invited as a chief guest, you will talk any good things about him, you will praise him, and we will praise him such. That doesn't mean that the people around are less. But he is the chief guest. Out of maybe 100 participants, he has little more status because he is the main highlight of the event. He has done something and so on. Doesn't mean that all others are low. But for that event, for that maybe whatever function you have, he is given importance. Same comparison is like the Puranas. The Shiva Purana, main hero will be Shiva. That doesn't mean all others are low also. But in that particular reference, Shiva will be glorified. And obviously, to glorify someone, other we have to show them little low. Doesn't mean that they put little low, but then if it is someone's birthday, say for example, doesn't mean that we don't celebrate our birthdays or maybe in your birthday you're glorifying it so much and so on. It's your birthday, your day, so that person will always be shown a lot of gifts and this, that we celebrate that in a higher way. So that is the reason why we have all these Puranas, wherein or in our own Sanatana Dharma, Hinduism, whatever you call it, you can have we have these different texts, different books, different ways of worship. Namakam also shows. In fact, in some certain texts like Namakam also, Namo Rudraya Vishnave Mrityorme Pahi, directly they will say Rudra and Vishnu are one. But why I told you all this elaborately is there are certain texts like the Puranas, certain organizations, certain saints, certain reformers who just followed one thing. It doesn't mean that they're against some other practice, but to maybe make things easy, maybe to maybe bring more people under the Bhakti movement or so on. They did things. The way we interpret is very, very important. And secondly, we must never keep. There are people who just pinpoint, try to find faults. How can they do this? How can they just maybe talk only about one God? How can they show someone else down? They never showed anyone down. It's just our way of interpretation. They just wanted to make things easy. So the way we interpret, as I am repeating, interpretation is very, very important. Otherwise, if wrong interpretation is done, like even in our everyday lives also, right? Miscommunication takes place. Most of the problems that arise is due to miscommunication. I said something, you how you interpret. Now I'm trying to tell you something. My main motive is to make all of you aware. It's not that you don't know, but still, as a part of the session, I want to tell all of you that there is a lot of unity that is there between all concepts. But maybe out of 20 people, there might be one or two who might take, look, she's telling something. How can this happen? How can that happen? Maybe you're not telling me on my face, but the way we interpret is very, very important. I will have one motive. The 20 people that you're listening to me, it's not necessary that all of you take it in the same way. You can understand in a different way. Understanding in different way is fine, but completely wrong interpretation that some people do, it is very, very dangerous. Okay, so next is this is one more part. With this, the myth, you can say, the features from Namakam come to an end, I suppose. Only 5 aspects has been mentioned. Next is, let's start with Chamakam. So could Namakam, could everyone follow? Yes? Okay. Next is Chamakam. Now, Namakam mainly talks about, I told you, the core philosophy of Bharata. Chamakam talks about wants and wishes. For this, again, we have a story of Daksha's sacrifice, wherein after Sati was insulted, Sati gave up her life. Shiva gets very angry. Daksha's head is cut off, and he is a goat's head is placed in place of the human head that was there, and he chanted this Chamakam, and that's why you have Agnishtame, Agnishtame, Vishnushtame, and so on. That comes Agnishtama, Agna, Vishnu, Sajosha, Sema, Vartantu, Giraha, and so on. The Chamakam starts. 11 Anuva comes. May comes. It's like the bleating of the goat. That's the reason it is may, because Daksha chanted this. This is one reference. There can be different interpretations to this. Now, a few aspects from Chamakam. Let's have a look. Now, in all, there are about 36 categories wherein human beings ask, like if you have to ask something, if you have desires, you want something, there are 36 categories in which we can ask. What is that? वाजष्टमे प्रसवष्टमे प्रयतिष्टमे प्रसिद्धिष्टमे धीतिष्टमे क्रतुष्टमे स्वरष्टमे शोकष्टमे श्रावष्टमे श्रुतिष्टमे ज्योतिष्टमे सुवष्टमे प्राणष्टमे अपानष्टमे व्यानष्टमे सुष्टमे चित्तञ्चम, and so on it goes on. What is that? 36 categories. What do you want? Everything is there with me, but still we have some wants, right? Food, cleanliness, strength, and so on. So this later I will share with all of you, so you can go through that in detail. So all these things are present inside all of us, but and so all the wants or wishes that come in, it is all revolving around this. I want a good body, I want food, I want cleanliness. So everything is revolving around these 36 categories that are there. Now in in Chamakam, like Namakam, you have certain aspects that are mentioned. Food grains that were there in ancient Bharata. That's the reason at the beginning of the session only I told you why we talked about the GDP, this, that, and so on. You might feel that why now Rudram, Chamakam, it's not even related. It is related. Make a note of this. Rudram, Namakam, Chamakam, it's not just a mere religious mantra that we chant in praise of Lord Shiva or so. It has got lot of historical references, lot of mentions. In fact, not only Sri Rudram, so many texts that are there, like the Ramayana, for example. Valmiki Ramayana, Ayodhya Kandam, Ayodhya or I think Aranya Kandam. I suppose it's Aranya Kandam, wherein Jatayu talks about the lineage of animals, his birds, ancestors, how birds have come, how reptiles have come, how animals have come. All that information has been mentioned in detail. Or Mahabharata for that matter, Yaksha Prashnam. Yaksha Prashnam, conversation between Yudhishthira and Yaksha. Different 100 aspects. Yaksha, he questions Yudhishthira, Yudhishthira answers them back. You cannot even imagine those questions. Some question, or even the Prashna, Prashnottara Ratnamalika by Adi Shankaracharya. Adi Shankaracharya has composed a text in a question answer form, not just like normal stotras. So in one line there will be the question, next line will have the answer. Prashnottara Ratnamalika. Different philosophical aspects. He only has framed a question and he has given the answer for the same. So very unique way of composition. So like this, all our texts that are there, they highlight on different interesting aspects also, and how the society was there then in those times, that is also mentioned. So what were the food grains even today? We see a food grains that has been mentioned. Purnancha me, Purnatarancha me, Kshitishcha me, Kuyavashcha me, Kshishcha me, Vrihayashcha me, Yava. Here all you have double swaras, swaras is wrong. Yava ashtame, Masha ashtame, Tila ashtame, Goduma ashtame, Khalvash. Sorry, Gashtame, Khalvashtame, Goduma ashtame, Masura ashtame, and so on it goes on. So this is, I think, the fourth anuvak. It starts with Urchame, Sundratachame, Payashchame, Rasashchame, Gritanchame, Madhuchame. Actually, here only I have mentioned the food grains that are there. You have other aspects also. Gritam, ghee, Madhu is honey, and so on. So fourth Anuvakam of Chamakam. Anyone knows to chant Rudram Chamakam here? Suresh Kumarji was there. I don't know whether he's still, he left. Okay. No one knows? Okay, no problem. Completely not. Okay. So Rudram Chamakam. Ah, we have learned it. So in that fourth Anuvakam, men especially will chant with the Yajnaopavitam if you have, they will chant it. Women also, few of us we are familiar. So in the fourth Anuvakam you have Urchame, Sondratachame, Payashtame, Rasashtame, Kritanchame, Madhuchame, Sabdishtame, Zapitishhtame, and so on it goes. In that you have this also. List of food grains, what are that? Maize, rice, wheat, black gram, sesame, green gram, masoor, lentils, and so on, millets. So the entire list has been given, and this even the food grains that we use today. So in those times also all these food grains used to be there, and its mention has been made in Chamak. Next is after food grains, metals. अश्मा च मे वृत्तिका च मे गिरयश्च मे पर्वताश्च मे सिकताश्च मे वनस्पतयश्च मे हिरण्यं च मे यश्च मे सीसं च मे तपुश्च मे श्यामं च मे लोहं च मे अग्निश्च म आपश्च मे वीरुदश्च म ओषधयश्च मे कृष्णवच्चं च मे कृष्णपच्चं च मे, and so on it goes. Metals. Shma, whatever. Mritika. Mritika is from soil. Whatever goes from soil. Hiranyam is gold. Gold, steel, zinc, lead, black iron, copper. Everything is a part of Lord Shiva only. So this is a mention of metals that has been made in Chamakam. Next is you have different numbers that has been mentioned. Now, this number is somewhat related to a mathematical concept called the Ishango bone. So, Ishango bone is a like you have what do you say? What do you call it? I don't know. Mm, uh, the movie on Shakuntala also that Shakuntala Devi. What is the method that she uses? Anyone knows that? Okay. Shakuntala Devi, a great mathematician. She also uses certain ways, right? She could memorize numbers and so on. Like this Ishango bone. Maybe you can later Google and find out. It is actually a bone-like structure wherein you have different mathematical formulas and so on. So little from that, quite modern as let's not say modern, it's a part of mathematics. Same has been mentioned even in Chamakam, the last Anuvakam. एका च मे तिस्रश्च मे पञ्च च मे सप्त च मे नव च मे एकादश च मे त्रयोदश च मे पञ्चदश च मे सप्तदश च मे नवदश च मे एकविंशतिश्च मे त्रयोविंशतिश्च मे and so on it goes about. So please bless me with the numbers 1357 he tells and 4812 for prosperity and happiness. Now why only these numbers? Why not some other numbers? Why this has been mentioned, at least from whatever little I have studied, I could not make out. So I'm trying to find out what exactly is the significance in mentioning only these numbers. But yes, through this we understand that there has been a lot of mathematical formulas also that have been used. There are many things, many concepts which are beyond, let me not say our, beyond my perception till date at least. I could not make out why this only these numbers have been used or in what context they have been used. But yes, you have a lot of mention of mathematical formulas also there in Chamakam. Next is you have the mention of domestic or agricultural animals. That is there. Garbha ashtame, again garbha are double swan. Vatsashtame, dravishtame, dravichame, dityavachame, dityauhichame, panchaushchame, panchavichame, trivastachame, trivatsachame, turyavachame, turyauhi, and so on. So that is, it is a prayer to Lord Rudra to bless us with cows, with calves, and there is an age also given for bulls. So we should have, in those times again, animal husbandry and agriculture was the main occupation of the people. It was considered to be a sign of prosperity. So a person has got a lot of, you can say, domesticated animals also, they used to be considered very rich or very prosperous, right? So 1.5-year bulls, then cows, then 2-year cows and bulls, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, then there should be breeding bulls, there should be barren cows. Like this blessings used to be, like in the Chamakan there is a prayer for all this. Now why this again, this age has been mentioned, I should have 1.5-year cows or 2-year cows and so on. Again, why this age has been mentioned, there is no reason as such for that, or at least till date I could not find out. Maybe an easy way which I felt it can be interpreted is, just as now in every age for children, say for example 2 years a child does certain things, 3 years he does certain things, 4 years, so maybe to have from all age groups, if you see if a cow is there, slowly it will keep growing, right? So maybe for, and then it will, now from a calf you cannot expect that you will get milk also, whereas the mother cow, if it has proper milk, it can provide it to its calf, so that the calf also becomes quite strong, further it can also grow properly. And the grown-up cow, that is a mother cow, she will provide milk to the calf as well as for other purposes and so on. So maybe that's the reason cows and bulls from all ages, maybe they needed for that reasons. There is no reason for this. But why with so much of numerical, you can say importance, age importance is mentioned, there is no idea on this again. Next is you have the mention of various deities also and yajnas and so on. A lot of Vedic deities has been mentioned. अग्निश्च म इन्द्रश्च मे सोमश्च म इन्द्रश्च मे सविता च म इन्द्रश्च मे सरस्वती च म इन्द्रश्च मे पूषा च म इन्द्रश्च मे बृहस्पतिश्च म इन्द्रश्च मे विष्णुश्च म and so on it goes about. Agni, Indra. So along with Indra, why Indra? Maybe because he is the king of gods. So combination Agni, Chandra, Surya, Saraswati, Vishnu, Pusha, Brihaspati, Mitra, Varuna, Twashta, Dhata, Marut, Ashwini, Vishvedevas, Bhumi, goddess Earth, Prajapati, all of them, they should bless us along with Indra. So the mention of various Vedic deities and yajnas. Yajnas is different forms of sacrifice that has also been mentioned in detail in the Chamakam. So this is one more aspect of the Chamakam that is there. So from the Namakam and Chamakam, these are few things which we get to learn. Now With this, what you can see is, so thus we can conclude that Chamakam and Namakam. Namakam and Chamakam together, they talk about a lot of aspects. And towards the end of this topic, we also talk about a few, the importance of Shivalinga, how it coincides with Bharatadesha, or how it is like, again, with like I gave you the example of the movie of the Kashmir Files, wherein we, or maybe a lot of invasions that took place, wherein a lot of our Shiva temples were demolished. Like in Ujjain, in Kashi, in Somnath, and so on. It has been rebuilt so many times. So many of our temples are demolished or so. Why? Because what exactly is a lingam? So this verse that you can see, Apatanalabastaranta Bhuvana Brahmandama Vispurate ज्योतिस्फाटिकलिङ्गमौलि विलसत्पूर्णेन्दुवान्तामृतैः हस्तौ काप्लुतमेकमीशमनिशं रुद्रान्नुवाकाञ्जपन् ध्यायेदीप्सितसिद्धये ध्रुवपदं विप्रो विषिञ्चेत् शिवम्. This is the Dhyana Shloka that is chanted before Namakam and Chamakam, that is before Rudram. And the literal meaning, with the meaning of this verse is, it tells you the meaning of Shivalinga. It is actually a mark or like a symbol which represents the universe as such. Just as our flag. Now, why this flag is given is, our flag, the national flag, it represents unity, integrity, sovereignty. Shivalinga also is actually a mark of this universe that is there. And when we have people from other communities coming and destroying our Shivalinga, very happily we have accepted. Let's not say very happily, but things have happened that way. Even till date, there are happening. We don't feel anything, right? We don't feel in the sense what impact does it have. So sometimes there are, like with aspects to the Shivalinga also, there are very wrong interpretations also by a lot of foreign people who have done a lot of research, which is, though it is a confluence of Prakriti, Purusha, Shiva, Shakti aspect, very wrong interpretations also have been made. Now, let's not get into that debate now. So, we have to be very, very careful. So, what exactly, if you want to read more about Shivalinga, how Shivalingas have originated, and so on, you can read up Linga Puranam. You have a specific Purana, Linga Purana, that talks about Shivalinga worship. In also few other Puranas, you have the mention of Shivalinga. So, through this, mainly why this towards the end of Namakam and Chamakam, why this topic or concept of Shivalinga has been brought in, to say that we must know about our own traditions, culture, and the same time also preserve things that are a mark of our culture, be it the Shivalinga, be it the Shaligrama, or anything that we have. We, very openly, our lords and idols are being broken about, or they are not preserved properly. Let's not just say only breaking about. Many times it happens that even in our own houses also, or maybe we have idols of lords, right? Very casually, if something is broken or so, what we do, we just go and throw it in a river, or maybe you just, some people, even the flowers also, we keep it separately, right? Flowers that we use for puja purpose, you have the nirmalya kalasha and so on. You must not throw it randomly along with the dustbin. That at least you have to wrap it in a newspaper and throw it. It's not just, you can say, normal garbage which we throw like the other things. Or maybe an idol also, you see, generally people will just keep it under a tree or so. It will just be decaying there for years together. Such things should never be done. We ourselves should preserve things that are there, like the Shivalinga, Shaligrama. There are so many other things which we consider as auspicious. Again, auspicious not only because they are just religious symbols also. Shivalinga, it actually marks the unity. What exactly is this universe? It's like a symbol. Like we have the national flag, Shivalinga, Shaligrama, and so on. There are also certain marks that are there. Okay. And it is a representation of everything and everyone in this universe. Okay. So with this topic of Namakam Chamakam ends. There are many more aspects with regards to Sri Rudram. We have just given you a brief of